Welcome, everyone. My name is Kimberly Green Warren, and I'm excited to be the host for the Public Health is Everywhere interview series. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, we hear from a public health professional about their untraditional career path in public health and gain practical advice if you want to land a similar role. Remember, public health is everywhere, and these conversations highlight just how creative and wide-ranging a career in this field can be. So let's jump right in.
All right. Well, hi, Ronit. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. So today we're going to continue exploring how public health careers can stretch far beyond traditional career paths in public health. So, Ronit, I'm so excited that you're here today, and I'd love for you to tell all of us what's your current job title and maybe a 30-second version of what you actually do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Kimberly. So, again, my name is Ronit Dastidar, and I am a consequence and resilience specialist at the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, also known as Metro here in the DMV. My team is responsible for four main things. We manage the authority's Emergency Operations Center, coordinate large scale events from across the numerous departments that may affect our bus and rail service. We monitor the weather 24/7, 365, and issue those notifications out to all of our employees. And then finally, we develop three large full-scale exercises that we test in each one of our jurisdictions, which are Maryland, DC, and Virginia.
Very cool. And so I'd love to kind of hear, okay, right now you're at Metro, but let's kind of take it back. So, like, what made you even think about working within public transportation, Metro? Is that where you've always been? What led you there? So I'd love to hear kind of your career journey and maybe some type of aha moment. Do you realize, hey, I think I want to do this?
For me, I've always kind of struggled in terms of what I want. It seems like I wanted to do a little bit of everything at all times. I consider myself a generalist in that aspect. And so after completing my undergraduate degree, I realized that I didn't exactly want to go into medicine, which I had been preparing myself into. And public health seemed a great option to use some of my scientific background and then kind of explore the breadth that the field has to offer.
Mhm.
And so I started my master's in public health at George Washington University. And there I was able to dabble in a bit of like the public health communication space, some epidemiology, as well as some of the other kind of concentrations that they have there. It was in my last or second to last semester that I took a course called epidemiology. And that's where I was introduced to kind of the concepts of FEMA, the National Incident Management Framework, and all that kind of stuff. And, that was the aha moment. That was where the systems that kind of really made sense. And, being from Florida, originally I've had these experiences with hurricanes and
Mhm.
all sorts of things, natural
Mhm.
disasters. And so
Mhm.
seeing that the world of emergency management and seeing how public health kind of fits into that was my
Mhm.
aha moment.
Okay.
So then I quickly did an internship with DC Homeland Security and Emergency Management, which led to my positions with DC Health.
Mhm.
That's where I got the emergency management kind of fundamentals that allowed me to transition over to transportation. And that's where I do right now is kind of emergency management in this new sector of transportation.
Okay, that is awesome. And so I know for a lot of the people listening, they're probably thinking, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in emergency preparedness as well. Do I need to get an internship? Should I just apply for a job and because of my passion or interest, that will be the best way to open the door to get in?" So, could you kind of explain like how did you get that first internship that you just mentioned? And in this current environment, do you have any recommendations for someone who wants to just get their foot in the door right now? Where would you suggest that folks start?
Yeah, I think a great place to start is by taking stock of what your current skills are and kind of leaning in on your public health education and training. One thing about emergency management is that it's a really, really broad field. I have colleagues that come from all different sectors, be it
Mhm.
transportation, be it public health, business management, all sorts of things. And so really it takes kind of taking a step back, seeing what skills you currently have, and seeing how those can translate into a new sector. Don't be scared if the position or the title doesn't have that kind of direct public health wording or terminology in it, because you can always adjust once you get the basics down. Specifically for emergency management, a lot of the FEMA doctrine is where a really good place to start. Those will give you the foundations and in planning, incident command, training and exercise, which are the same throughout all of the different sectors of emergency management. Once you
Gotcha.
get those basics down, you can then get the subject matter expertise once you get that to your new job.
Got it, got it. And so great advice there. I think you're saying it's so broad. Everyone comes from a variety of fields. So we can kind of tone down the imposter syndrome that naturally comes in when you feel like you don't have all of the skills or the knowledge that you need. But I think we can probably add to the takeaways here the FEMA doctrine. Is that right, Rona? That we
Yeah.
can
So
improve here.
yeah, FEMA has a ton of different courses on their independent study source site. I think
Mhm.
it's now called the National Disaster University. And so that's a great place to kind of take those entry level courses, get used to the terminology, the processes, because those are standard throughout the entire country.
That's great, great advice. And also, something else that I think is standing out to me too is how important it is to know the terminology of the work that you want to pursue, right? So if you want to pursue emergency preparedness, make sure you know the terminology, maybe make sure you dive into that world so that you know the full context and terms and language that other folks are using. So all right,
Exactly.
great advice. So let's jump into skills. So we know in public health we have a wide range of skills, knowledge that we gain across sectors, especially within our public health education. So could you share with the audience what's 1 to 3 skills that you use from your public health education or training that you use constantly in your role that may surprise people?
Yeah, I think a couple of the top skills that stand out to me first is stakeholder engagement, right? Every single day, I am talking to people across Metro, be it our rail service, bus service, police, infrastructure, you name it. There's so many different departments. I think we have about 25 that we talk to on a daily basis. And so definitely learning how to engage those stakeholders, understanding their needs, conveying what you need from them, making sure that those kind of meetings and interactions are fruitful for both parties. And so definitely honing in on those public speaking, those kind of meeting facilitation, all those kind of skills is one aspect. Another is technical writing. No matter what you're going to do, what field you get into, position, you will have to create some kind of document or some kind of written product. And so really taking the time to hone in on the jargon and the technical language that we talked about, but also, just making sure that what you write flows for a variety of audiences. And then finally, I think I'm not sure if this is really a skill, but more sort of concept. But I think something that we really harp on in our public health education and training is approaching problems with a holistic lens, right? We talk about social determinants a lot and ecological models when it comes to addressing problems. And so that's something that I take a huge role in my work is looking at, be it exercises or planned events or anything, understanding how an incident may impact numerous facets of the organization and then incorporating those into kind of our common operating picture and our operational decisions moving forward.
Awesome. I think that's really tangible advice. So I think if I got it, you said stakeholder engagement and verbal communication, and then also I'm just forgetting the last one.
Kind of holistic,
Holistic, yes.
yeah,
Taking a
problem solving.
the holistic problem solving. So I think that's something very tangible that folks can also take away from this. If you're looking to pursue something similar to Rona, is just highlighting those skills that he's constantly using in the day-to-day basis that may or may not be listed on the job description as well. All right. So now let's dive into your advice for public health professionals who want to pivot or start in this field. How do you suggest in this current climate that they land a role like yours?
Yeah, I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. This current climate is tough, right? And
Mhm,
so I think it is branching out from those typical public health roles in those state, territorial,
mhm,
tribal, local
mhm,
jurisdictions, and really exploring the intersection of public health in different sectors or avenues, right? For
mhm,
example, a lot of my work that I did at a local health department at DC Health during the COVID and Mpox pandemics was able to translate into some of the emergency plans and procedures that I write for at Metro, right? Similarly, a lot of large organizations, particularly private ones, will have surprising positions that you never thought about that you can apply to
mhm.
and apply your public health education. One that really struck me at a conference a couple years ago was that Whataburger has an incredible emergency management program where they track all of their locations and implement all these kind of crazy plans. And who would have ever thought, right? Similarly, there's a ton of different organizations where you might not expect them to have a position that may be tailored to you, but you can definitely fit into that role at first and then meld it a little bit to your practice as in your skill set.
Got it. And also, do you have any high level professional organizations or even meetings or networking groups that you'd suggest that folks engage with potentially to connect with folks that are in similar roles like you?
Yeah. One for the emergency management world is the International Association of Emergency Managers, or IAEM. They're an incredible organization that puts on, they're kind of the trade organization for our field that puts on numerous conferences throughout the year. They have regional districts that help their members grow professionally and meet and provide those networking opportunities. And they also have a job board where they post emergency management careers and job opportunities from across the nation and even worldwide. So that I think that's a great resource for somebody who's kind of getting new into this field, or student, or perhaps that entry professional,
Mhm.
to kind of scour those job boards, scour some of the resources that they have, and see how you can apply those to your job search.
That's great. All right. So, last question for you before we go into the rapid fire. So, looking ahead, what's one trend in your industry that has you excited about the future?
Yeah, so I think, like a lot of other public interest sector kind of things, right? Transportation has taken a hit in terms of federal funding and federal support. But something I'm excited for, despite that, is a lot of the local and state jurisdictions are stepping up to come up with innovative ways of bridging those funding and support gaps. And so we're seeing that in New York with the implementation of congestion pricing, right? And that is providing a whole revenue stream for the MTA to do some of their really
Mhm.
necessary capital work.
Mhm.
Similarly, closer to home, we are launching this new DMV Moves initiative to help kind of produce that capital funding and, use some of our metro properties to put transit oriented developments and housing right on those kind of really
Mhm.
integral transportation lines. And so, super excited to see how these play out in the future with kind of getting local support to fund some of these really big projects like next generation signaling and automatic train operations and all
Mhm.
the kind of fixes that we need to get America's public transit back on top, and kind of meeting the rest of the world.
Got it. And so, I guess this time leaves a lot of room for innovation, which is exciting across the board. So, difficult, challenging, but it's also exciting to see how much innovation can also take place during this time as well. All right. So I have a few rapid fire questions for you so you can answer in to a sentence. Okay. So here we go. Tell us, what was your first job?
I was a high school tutor.
High school tutor. That's fun. All right. Can you describe public health in 3 words?
I would say essential, omnipresent, and exciting.
All right. Could you sum up the impact of your current role in 1 word?
I'd say coordination.
Okay. And outside of work, your favorite hobby or passion?
I love skiing.
Okay. And one thing you're excited about in the year ahead?
Travel and helping out with some really cool generational events like the FIFA World Cup and the 250th anniversary of the nation.
All right. Very nice. All right. To close this all out, right, I would love for you to do this last fill in the blank. We've been having everyone complete the sentence. Public health is everywhere. For me, public health means blank. I'm blank, and I bring that to my work at blank. So if you're ready, we'd love for you to share. Um,
Okay, yeah. Public health is everywhere. For me, public health means knowing a little bit of everything and helping out in every way that you can. I'm a generalist and I bring that to my work at Metro.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Ronit. This has been an excellent conversation. So many takeaways, tangible takeaways that I think anyone that's interested in a role similar to yours in emergency preparedness and response could definitely walk away with next steps on what to do next. So, again, I want to thank you so much for your time. And it's been a great interview. So, thank you.
That's it for today's interview. I hope this conversation gave you new ideas about the many ways public health shows up in our lives and careers. For more career building tools, visit Your Career in Public Health, Essential Building Blocks for a Purpose-Driven Career online workbook. Thanks for listening, and remember, public health is everywhere.